The person in that room in the red t-shirt with the mask partially covering their face, longer braided appearing hair, is Darrell Brooks. The same individual sitting to my left in this suit, jacket, shorter hair, and surgical mask.
Okay. And the other two people depicted here?
The person, as you would look to the screen to the left, is myself, and on the right is Detective Ben Stern.
Okay. So again, going to 7 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to play it, but not with sound, until 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it now is at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. If we can play until 8 minutes and 20 seconds.
Hang the metal pieces on the little machine thing that comes around. They take them. The pieces go through like this little steamer type machine thing, and then they paint it, and then they come back around, and we just take them off the hook and just put them in the box, load them up, put them back on the truck. It was 4 on, 3 off, so that was more ideal because
that's a great schedule.
I mostly have my children the back half of the week.
Sure.
But since all this, I've been having them every day. So it's like,
How old are your kids?
my son is grown. My oldest daughter is 14, and my youngest daughter is 7.
You said your oldest son's grown. How old is he?
He's 18.
They all live with you then in Milwaukee?
Well, my son doesn't.
Your son doesn't?
My son doesn't.
Okay. All right.
So initially, what were you speaking with Mr. Brooks about when he was describing doing something with metal?
Objection, leading, and I do not consent to being called that name.
Overruled as to both objections. The witness may answer.
Just about work, he was Mr. Brooks was explaining a job he had prior. He indicated he was laid off due to the pandemic. So it was just general conversation about his work history.
And he talked about his kids. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And his 2 youngest kids, who did he say they lived with?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness
Objection,
may answer.
relevancy.
Mr. Brooks was indicating they were living with him. However, the investigation showed that not to be the case. Of the 2 daughters, one lives down in Georgia in the Atlanta area, and the other lives in Iowa.
Thank you. Now directing your attention to 14 minutes and 15 seconds into the interview, and I'd be playing that until 15 minutes and 48 seconds into the interview. It is currently at 14 minutes and 15 seconds.
Can I have those timestamps again, please?
Sure. 14 minutes and 15 seconds beginning to 15 minutes and 48 seconds.
Thank you.
I'd ask that that be played at this time.
Go ahead.
We're not on your college set. I got to read it, okay? And I know you've heard it before, so you kind of understand that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions before I start for me?
Only thing I want to know is, what in the heck, am I being charged with anything?
Well, she's making some, like I said, alleged allegations against you, kind of, for being physical. So that's what, if that's BS, that's what I'm looking to hear from you. Okay?
Total BS.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of, we couldn't track her down, so that's kind of where we're at. It's this typical back and forth stuff that guys like you go through with their baby mama all the time. And they're all, there's a lot of guys out there in your spot, and a lot of times, maybe it's not always fair to them, but that's kind of what
I
I'm
wish
trying
they
to
had a
figure out.
law to where people can, if you do that shit, you should get in trouble.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, why? You shouldn't be able to just be like, oh, I'm pissed off, so I'm going to call and do this.
Yep. I agree.
Like, why would you put me in that situation and then we're going to end up being together anyway? Why would you do that?
Trying to judge that credibility. Yep, and that's total BS. So that's what that's why we're sitting in here with you, to try to sift through the BS, if that's what we got, and go from there.
Crazy, man.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh,
all right.
This fucking girl, man. I said this last night too, didn't I? She get drunk and remember I kept saying that she fucking acts a fool and I'm the one that pays for it.
Yep.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about this clip?
Overruled.
So in this clip here, I'm just explaining to Mr. Brooks the background of the domestic abuse allegations that officers had received from Erica Patterson, and that I was looking to get basically clarity on that, his side of the story on that, have him help me understand what aspects of it may or may not be true, and just walk me through what had occurred between the two of them.
And again, although we're approximately 15 minutes into the interview, have you mentioned anything about the parade incident or any victims?
Objection. The
Overrule. The witness may answer.
I had not said anything about that at this point.
And why was that?
So what I wanted to do with this interview, as I stated in my earlier testimony, I wanted to start with the smaller things and get to the bigger things. The parade incident with the injuries of the individuals and the loss of life was obviously very serious. Part of what I believe as an investigator is very important is gauging credibility in the interview. And one of the ways you do that is you need to be careful. Obviously, at some point, if I'm going to take Mr. Brooks to jail, I have to tell him what he's being charged with. But I want to be very careful in giving too much information early on, so that I'm not leading him, so that I'm not giving him the opportunity based on information to create lies. I want to see how he reacts to things to help me gauge whether he's being truthful. And I found starting with the smaller aspect and seeing how truthful he was with that could help lead me into the more serious allegations and see if he was going to be truthful about those things as well.
Now, as I watched the snippet of the video that we showed, at one point you had indicated, guys like you get into these kind of situations with girls like that, or something to that effect. Do you recall that interaction in this video?
Yes, I do.
What do you mean by that? Or what were you trying to establish by making that statement?
Again, as I had stated in my earlier testimony, part of what I believe is important is simply building a rapport with an individual. Again, you always have with any individual in any interrogation, there's the natural barrier that can occur with them seeing you as a law enforcement officer. I've been doing this job for 18 years. That was not intended on any way on my part to suggest to Mr. Brooks that everything his girlfriend was saying was a lie. I just wanted him to feel comfortable telling me the truth, whatever that truth was, man to man or person to person, human being to human being.
lying.